Humberlievable. Are you looking for a no-nonsense property and business podcast? Our mission is to provide jam-packed content straight to your ears, where we can add value and unpick the fluff in the industry. If this sounds like a bit of you, then strap in and hold tight for an episode with Heidi and Dan.
Well, thank you for joining this week's episode. We've got Darren O'Reilly on the podcast. So Darren is a property investor, business coach and mentor. So welcome on, Darren.
Hello, Dan. Yeah, thank you for inviting me on, and Heidi.
It's a pleasure. So, Darren, what we like to do on this podcast is, do a bit of a deep dive into who you were growing up, and sort of what has led you to where you are today. So, taking it all back, then, could you give us a bit of a background about yourself?
The clean version or the dirty version?
Oh, whatever, mate. Yeah, dirty the better. To be fair, yeah. There's no snobbiness on this podcast. So
no, we like the dirt.
That's right. No, I never got caught anyway, so there's no naughty stuff going on. So
yeah, exactly.
I was the one that got away. No. I've been in property probably near on 30 years, professionally as a landlord, but not necessarily as a pension pot landlord, not necessarily as a business. And that's predominantly my mum and dad were. My mum and dad sort of basically done BRRs without realising it. They didn't have the names back then. It was just buying a property, doing it up and selling it on, basically nicking the profits and moving on to the next one. So pretty much when I was knee-high to a grasshopper, I was going around painting skirting boards because that's all I could reach at the time.
Oh.
But yeah, just helping out. I was sort of brought up in property. They would strip me wallpaper and doing whatever. Most sort of weekends or through the weeks would be off doing that. And then basically I'm this baby of 5 siblings, and they were all sort of told to invest in the property and basically follow mum and dad's sort of path, as it were.
I feel like we need to get them on the podcast.
Sorry?
We need to get them on the podcast. They sound cool.
I'd say if you get them on the podcast, I'd love that, because they're actually passed away. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, sorry to hear.
So, no, that's all right. No. I mean, yeah, get them on by all means. If you can, let me know how.
Yeah.
No, it was a little while ago. They passed, but they're still with us. Their energy's still with us. So,
Nice.
But yeah, so we just led by them. 5 of I'm the baby of 5, so 3 of us sort of got involved in property. Mum and dad basically told us never to sell anything. They only ever saw really keeping it as a pension pot. So I got my first property at the tender age of 20.
Nice.
So as you can, these greys are painted in, so it's only about 2 or 3 years ago. But yeah, it's picked that up as 20, and we I've done a lot of. My brother ran an entertainment agency.
Okay.
And I've done a lot of entertainment. The reason I'm going with that is we actually bought a shop. The way it come about is we bought a load of 7-inch records, if you remember them, if the people listening remember them. But yeah, bought a load of 7-inch records because we was DJing at the time. Took out what we wanted, and we was left with like 700 or 800 records, and thought, right, what should we do with these? And offered them to our friends. We made a decent bit of money, and then basically this shop come up, and it was like, well, why don't we open a record shop and serve the DJs that my brother was just building his business in? And that's what we done. We bought a shop with a flat above, and the flat above pretty much paid the rent on the whole lot, and we run a record shop there for 5 years.
Nice.
All that time I was DJing and bits and pieces, yeah. And then subsequently that we had to get out of that because the short version is basically the big players started selling vinyl, and it was sort of dying a death. And we thought if we rent it, we're going to get the same money. And then so ultimately, unbeknown to us, we sort of had it wasn't a HMO, but it was a multi-unit let, because we had the flat and then we had the shop let, and it was basically covering the mortgage and giving us a little bit. I also had an issue with me back as well at the time, so it was it wasn't just because of the business, but yeah, we decided to close it and rent it out, and we've still got that property. So
Wow.
We put an extension on the back. It's a HMO above, commercial unit out the back, and retail space at the front, or storage unit out the back.
Amazing. Whereabouts is that?
That's in one of the many Croydon roads in Beckenham.
Oh, nice. I like Beckenham.
You said you're local anyway. There's about 15 Croydon roads within like a 5-mile radius in Beckenham.
Yeah. No, there's Beckenham's right. I've been out a few times at Beckenham. I've been to Bridge Bar a few times, and then a few of the other pubs and stuff. Did you?
Well, I used to provide all the records and that to the DJs at the Bridge Bar. Well, it
Oh,
used to be
mental.
Lantries back then.
Oh, bloody hell. Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I haven't been in a while. Like I said, I've moved up north. I did 7.5 years ago. But yeah, I've been out there a few times. I'm a northerner. I'm an adopted northerner now, yeah.
yeah, you
So,
are now, yeah.
We've
brilliant.
adopted it.
Yeah.
You
So,
got over the nosebleeds, have you?
yeah, just about. Yeah,
Yeah,
the air pressure's up here a bit different. There's no pollution, though. My lungs are probably clearer from all the buses.
yeah, I bet.
No, so man of many talents. So started up, well, DJing. Obviously, like you say, your property. So would you say that your parents were a big inspiration then for you getting into property? And what made you continue doing that? What was the ultimate reason for you to continue it as opposed to not going into another profession?
Well, ultimately, yeah. So what happened? Obviously, I had that property. Then bought my own place. Then had a son. And ultimately, like I say, it was. I was looking at. I was led by my older siblings as a pension pot landlord. So it was just buy, keep it. It was just building up my pension pot. Never even thought of earning money from it. But ultimately, yeah, I was doing a bit of the entertainment work. Had my son, and then it sort of, with the partner I was with at the time. We had I sort of said, look, I can earn a bit of money on the side. We was paying childcare, and it's like the money I'm sort of earning doing. Oh, sorry, I'll stop again. I went into a banking world for a bit because the labouring work dried up. That's how I met my partner. That's how I had the son, and then I wasn't really suited to corporate the world basically. So yeah, I said to my missus, look, the missus at the time, I said I might as well look after my son. I'll bring him up, and that's when I can do the entertainment stuff. So I was running the bouncy castles, DJing of a night, bringing in a bit of extra cash, and then that kept going really well. And ultimately, what 8 years ago now, I basically separated with my ex-partner, and at that time we'd moved twice, but we'd kept the properties.
Okay.
And it was at that point then that I sort of looked at, right, I had to basically, I paid my ex-missus out best part of £250,000 out of property that we had. I was left with the properties, which at the time I didn't really realise. And she had all the cash, and I was like, fuck. So, how's that happened?
Yeah, exactly. Who's got the better deal here? Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really realise the benefit of having the properties at the time. Now I'm thankful I'd done that, but at the time, I was separated with her. My head was all over the place. We had another daughter. I was sort of looking for the answer in the bottom of a pint glass and a packet. And yeah, that sort of I had to step out of that, and that's when I had to sort of look at stuff a bit more creative. And I thought, well, I've had property running all this time in the back in my life. Mum and Dad, I've managed to sort of remortgage and pay her off. And I was left with like nothing. I thought, right, the little bit I had left, I bought into a franchised estate agency. I thought, well,
Okay.
I'll go back in the property, put myself on the cold face. I'll find the investors. I'll get a few more deals, and then I'll run it more as a business then.
Yeah.
So basically, I'd got to that point in my life where it was like, right, up until that point, my missus, I hadn't really had a job as such. I was DJing, like I say, that evolved into a marquee company, and we was doing ice sculptures, dance floors, the whole lot. But it was only really sort of a bit of cash money. It was never really proper sort of business, if you like.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I sort of
Did you buy in your personal name then with your ex-partner, or in a company name?
no, they were bought in our personal name, so I had to get her off of the mortgage.
Okay.
But that was part of the remortgage, basically.
Yeah.
So I didn't realise there's bloody stamp duty due when that's done, which was a pain because basically I was buying the other half of the house.
I didn't know that.
I
didn't know you got stung with stamp duty again if you're buying someone out. That's new to me.
Yeah, remortgage. So the mortgage was higher. But, I am actually, you know what? I should actually pick that out with I've got a good friend who's a solicitor. I should actually pick that up with him because a lot of regular solicitors don't necessarily know the ins and outs of all the tax loopholes or not loopholes, the tax efficient strategies, we say.
Tax mitigation, not avoidance, mitigation. Yeah.
Have to ask him, then come back on the podcast and let us know because.
Yeah, I should find that out really because it was a chunk of money. I don't know where the time frame might have gone now, but yeah, I should chat to him. I don't know. He runs his own law firm, so I'll actually make a note of that and catch up with him. Oh, you throw me off track now. Where are we going? So yeah, anyway, yeah. So, but long story short, I was earning a bit of pocket money. Didn't really actually have any earnings on paper, even though I had a lot of property in me, or owned a lot of had equity in property. Sorry, I didn't actually have any money, so I couldn't get a mortgage or anything like that. So I couldn't prove any earnings and stuff. But at that
Yeah.
point, you didn't need it. So yeah, I don't know how I managed to do it. I had a good mortgage broker, and somehow I managed to sort of
Have to share
hook
them.
up by crook, get through it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's
But
there's
yeah,
a
then I
few.
started getting more creative. Sorry, got a bit more creative, and then I started getting involved in the rent to rent stuff because the estate agency opened my eyes up to a lot of things. Estate agents are just salespeople, and it's a very much dog eat dog world. That's all it is. They're just salespeople.
It's a
And
race
where
to the
else?
bottom on
Yeah,
fees, isn't it? It's a race to the bottom on fees. They don't. I don't. I think the UK need to adopt more of the US and the Australian model and the self-employed business commercial acumen aspect of it, as opposed to you deal with Sarah, John, Tom, Bill, and Sally in the office through each stage of the agency, and there's no personal touch there, is there? That part of the industry needs changing up personally.
they're not. Yeah, I mean, they're not property professionals. That's the
No,
thing. And Joe Public are going to an agent. So where they was coming to me, I knew at this point I was aware of I was sort of sniffing around training companies and watching YouTube videos and bits and pieces and sniffing around sort of HMOs and rent to rents and no money down sort of deals and stuff like that. So I was trying to wind that into the high street estate agency, and basically they were having none of it because it was just like that's why I said to you earlier. That's how I know that Coolsey up at Belvoir up in Hull. I don't know where you are, Heidi, but
Yeah, I'm near Dan. So we're in the same area.
oh right, okay, yeah. So you know Belvoir or Beaver, it's called up north apparently.
yeah, it
Oh,
is.
that's called Beaver.
But yeah, it's Dan from Bexley. You'll know Beaver is something different as well, rather than estate agents.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we all know what
Um,
Beaver means.
so yeah, that's where we got into that, and we were basically the last cold start, but they were not au fait with sort of creative strategies and whatever. So then COVID hit, and we just thought we'd have to so basically what. Right, hang on, I'm getting myself lost in. I'll rewind a bit because I'm getting ahead of myself. So when we had the estate agency, my mum sadly passed away before we opened the doors. Then we had to look after my dad too. Me and one of my siblings were the main carers well, two of my siblings actually, I should say, were the main carers for my dad, who gave us another 14 months. My partner at the time, my new partner, we was friends at the time. She lost her dad, her uncle, who was like a second dad. I lost a good friend of mine, and we lost a couple of cousins as well. So it was like 7 people over the space of 3 years of opening up a new estate agency.
Wow, that's a lot to
Bloody
go
hell.
through at once.
Yeah, after just going through separation, because the way I've met my partner now, she'd just separated as well. So that's how we became friends, basically, and for our older sons. So yeah, 3 years, 3.5 years, we just sucked the life out of the business loan. Didn't really know what direction we was going or anything. And then just as I was going to break away from it and start doing the more creative stuff and leave her running it. And then COVID hit, and it was like, right. So I literally went sod property. You know what? I've had enough. Let's turn our back on it. We'd have to reinvest another 100 grand into that business, and it was like, no, let's do something on Amazon. So we looked at other bits and pieces and got involved with Amazon selling. Done a bit
But
of
the
that.
FBA stuff, yeah.
Yeah. And that lasted for me. It lasted about a year and a half, and then I had enough. My missus could always see me jumping on Rightmove and having a look around and sniffing around something more creative, and she was like, "I'll just get back in the property." So that's basically then where I went into. We'd done the Amazon course with Progressive, and then I went on to their SA because I thought, right, what do I not know in property? Because I'd done a lot of the stuff that's labelled up as sort of no money down and BRR and all that. It's just they're just fancy words, but ultimately it's just property, isn't it? It's just doing
Yeah.
property. So I thought, what do I not know as such? And serviced accommodation, having tried a HMO, turning that into an Airbnb while we're doing some refurb and getting some nice bookings, I thought, well, I don't really understand SA and its very attractive revenue. So jumped on their training course, went through their mastermind, and subsequently that's where I'm now, basically doing a load of rent to SAs
Amazing.
around London, and subsequently got me turning my own properties into SA, which is where I was earlier today, Dan. Just I wasn't meant to be doing it, but I got my stepson involved because he was bored at half term, and just so happened the tenants left, and it was like, right. I said, you know what, you can do the rip out. There's a hammer. Go and rip the kitchen out, which he done. And then I thought, actually, you know what, be good for a bit of social media, a bit of a show him. He's just 17 now, so I thought show him what's
Nice.
you know, what the property's all about, and show him a bit of plumbing and electrical work and whatever it was. And then he's gone and got himself a roofing job. So now I'm left holding the baby. Me and my partner are sort of painting it and decorating it. But I had to get a couple of lads in. I spoke to one of my builder's friends, and he freed up a couple of his lads to come and help me with the kitchen and the
Yes.
bathroom the other day, just to, because amongst all of that as well, just to add to it, I'm not playing the violin. I've bloody got I've got a bunion thing on my foot, or something's going on with my foot, so I can hardly bend my toe, and I've got tennis elbow, and it's like,
Oh, tennis elbow's the worst. To be fair, I've had that.
yeah, it's shocking. I couldn't. At one
I've
point,
no
I couldn't.
sympathy for your bunion, but for your tennis elbow, I do.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just getting old, I think, and it's like, I'm like, no, this can't be happening now. Why can it not happen like,
Yeah.
you know, 3-4 months ago when I'm literally just sitting behind a laptop running a few essays?
Yeah, exactly. So with everything, you've done a lot in property by the sounds of it then. Is this
Yeah.
your favourite strategy now, SA, or what you think?
No, I enjoy essay because it's something different, and having a bit of a knowledge or a bit of experience in the entertainment world as well. It's literally just dealing with public basically, so I'm sort of used to that. You know, like I say, dealing with the DJing and doing fun casino work and stuff like that. It's quite front facing with the public, so I enjoy that side of it. Obviously, I enjoy the revenue. What I do enjoy is obviously the cash flow that you can generate from properties you don't own, basically. But where I'm really sort of going to put my teeth back into is the refurbishment stuff. Even now, just dusting off the tools. I moan. There's been a few injuries along the way, but that's part of age, I think. But I've enjoyed getting my hands dirty and sort of, you know, just whacking a bit of paint on the walls and doing that. And not so much me doing it anymore, but I enjoy seeing a property that's, you know, it's falling apart as such, and bring it back to life and make it look something special.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's something spectacular about taking the shithole and turning it into something lovely. Like, do you know when you look at a building or the property and you think walls are hanging off, ceilings come through, carpets had dog's piss on for the last 20 years, and then you literally transform it and you're just like pristine and white. There's nothing better than seeing plastered walls, I think. Once the walls are plastered, you know that you're getting somewhere and it looks your top. That's the best feeling. I think there's something so satisfactory in that element of property. And that's probably why a lot of people do go back to that. Because like you say, the cash flow on the SA is good, but you can mix it, can't you? You can do all the refurbs, do your buy, refurbish, refinance, but then on the SA side as an exit, so you benefit from both worlds. But I just want to unpick a couple of things. So,
yeah, go for it.
You know, thanks for sharing your story. That it was interesting, and I think one of the key points that I wanted to pick up, because for a period of time I sort of it was a bit turbulent. There's things going on, and then, you know, I sort of did something similar to be like, oh, fuck property. I'm taking some time out and not doing anything for a period of time, and I'm now back in there, like, you know, getting back into it, getting back on the saddle, let's say. But I wanna go back to that time. Like, how was your mindset, and how did you change from who you were and not wanting to do property and feeling the way you were to being able to say, right, put the past behind me, let's line in the sand and then move forward? How did you transition? How did you adapt to that? And like, what did you do?
Like I say, I mean, property's always been in my veins, if you like, from when I was a young nipper. But it's yeah, at the point, like I say, it was a pension landlord till I separated with my ex. Really, there was no real. I started sniffing around just before I knew I was going to separate from her, so I was looking at ways out basically and trying to generate cash. So I had started sniffing around a few creative bits and pieces at that time, and trying to convince my older siblings that there was another way to basically run the property portfolio we got. But banging my head against a brick wall for sort of five or 6 years, trying, because we've got properties that haven't got any mortgage on it, and it was like, you know, we can release that cash invest it into other bits and pieces, look at these deals. And this is when I was starting to get into it. And then literally, like I say, my mindset was, I know the defining moment was literally, it was I'd be coming in and I'd be verbally abusing my ex-partner after she'd come home, and I'd literally go out and have a couple of pints just to get away from her, really, because it was just one happy in the house.
Just started getting toxic.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, and then I'd come back and just get violently abusive with her, just call her names, and we'd row, and it's like, and I've got my kids here. My daughter would only been 3 or 4 at the time, and my son would have been 13, 14. And obviously they were starting to pick up on it, and we was round with them. We was round once, and I saw the kids look at me, and that was basically it. I just went, you know what? I'm going down a rabbit hole here, and I'm going to go drugs and booze, and I'll be going out meeting my mate on a Tuesday night, and just he'd get a packet of gear in, and it was like I'd just sit there and we're doing. I'm thinking, this is a fucking Tuesday night. What the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got 2 kids here. I need to sort myself out. So basically, I went back and said to the missus, right, that's it. We was living together. Everyone still thought we were together. And I said, right, we've got to sort this out. And literally, I just thought, how am I going to get out of it? And it was pretty much, it was being friends with my now partner, because she was going through a separation, and she sort of made me see things a bit clearer and whatever. But I mean, mindset is a massive thing. And I just thought, right, how am I going to, I could have kept on DJing and doing bits and pieces like that. But hang on. Probably, is that an investor? No.
Yeah, we'll raise finance on the call. Yeah, it's a masterclass in raising finance. We'll have a 3-way call.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. So just had to get my mindset in the right place, and like I say, it was for the kids really, because it was just like I can't. I'm responsible to them. I brought them into this world. I've got to, just make something of myself, if you like, and separate this. It's no good for them bringing them up in a volatile environment like it's no good for them.
No,
that's probably the hardest thing I've done. Separating, especially when my daughter was so young. My son took it. He was 13, 14. He was pretty cool. Around the golf and the curry, and he was good as gold. He said, "This is your life. It's your life, Dad. Do what you want." So
it's quite a mature approach for someone of that age. But no, listen, you've shared that on a podcast where people listen, so appreciate that. And I think what it also does, it highlights that a lot of people go through a lot of shit. You're not the only one out there. So someone might listen to this and be experiencing something similar, so they can probably take something away from that. And sometimes you have to go to the pits of despair, and the only way from there is up. So sometimes there is that pivotal moment. And I know people, and they've been in drugs and alcohol, got to a point and thought, what the fuck am I doing? And it's like a switch that flicks, but you have to get there, and no one else can help you. It has to be a decision that you make in order to change the way you are. I know a few people that's happened to, and so I empathise.
I mean, mindset, I appreciate that. Thank you. The mindset is a massive thing in property as well, because it's, even to this day, everyone still thinks that you need to have a lot of money to invest in property, which with a lot of the creative stuff, that might actually be a guest. My VA should pick that up. 1 second, sorry. Let me just check if this is. There's a guest checking in tonight. That's why I wanted to make sure she checked in.
No, that's all right.
I've just had a guest issue where the cleaner, most of mine is outsourced, my systems and processes. But tonight, when I'm busy, I get a text message saying, "Oh, I think the old guest has took the parking permit, which has got a £60 fine on." So it's I feel your pain, Darren. With guests.
More of the story to the listeners. Don't do SA, because you get hustled at fucking 8 o'clock at night.
Well, that's it. My VA's asleep now, actually.
Have you got one in the Philippines?
Yeah, it's just 6 hours, I think.
Yeah, it's about 6.
When you was like, "Oh, I love essays," I do a lot of stuff in property. It's my least favourite thing to do is essay, because you can sort of foresee issues going wrong, but can turn it off. But you can't turn SA off. And it don't matter how much you outsource it. And I've got a lot of it outsourced. Still things crop up and I'm like, I fucking can't be arsed with this. A parking permit, or the bamboos fell off the fence. Oh, I don't really care. But the guest wants it perfect. That sort of level of stuff does my head in. So I admire your cleaning thing.
If I'm honest, I think I enjoy it because it's a break away from my family, because they never actually done any of that. So my older siblings didn't think that. I mean, even now I can't convince them. I'll show them like I'm sort of generative. I've done an 11.5 grand month on one property before,
Fucking hell.
and it's like, and I've shown my family this, and they're like, no, they're not getting involved. My sister's got a lovely 2-bed property, on a what is it? It's an old dam, not an old dam. It's an old mill. So it's
Wow.
overlooking a lake. She's got the jacuzzi out the front there, like overlooking the lake. It's only a 2-bed. It's like the keeper's cottage, basically.
Oh, nice.
Just make a mint on that.
But she lives in France for 3 or 4 months a year. And I said, what are you doing? The money you could generate from your place, this is in Reading.
We'll pay her mortgage and her holiday.
Well, I said it would cover you while you're out in France.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she's just like, oh, no. I even said, look, I will come down, get a container, put it on your bit of land there. I'll throw all your stuff in there. And then when you come back, I'll put it back in the mess it was. But just let me have it for them 3 months while you're away.
Yeah. Rent to SA on your sister's property. Yeah. But no,
she'd do, but yes, her partner's not willing, so I think I convinced her. But yeah, anyway,
just just going back to the mindset thing. I mean, I remember when I first started getting into property, and I was going to our local property networking meetings, and I was watching YouTube videos, and this thing that kept popping up was mindset, and I was never a naysayer, but I just thought, what's everyone on about this mindset? Do you know what I mean? Like, what? And I'm a firm believer in it now, and the reason being is I remember sitting in the pub with my mate, a couple of mates, and he had a couple of buy-to-lets, works offshore, owns a bit of a mint, and was just like, oh yeah, I'm selling this flat. And I said, I've always wanted to get into property, but I've got no money. And he just went, you don't need money to get into property. I just laughed, like a kid from a council estate in Bexley, like, what do you mean? I've never seen anyone do all this. He's like, oh, you don't need money. It wasn't until I started doing a deep dive and people talk about mindset and raising finance and all the strategies, the models. I just thought, fucking hell, it's a new world in it. It is a new world out there. And, it's not that you don't need any money. You probably need a small amount subject to what you're going to do. So rent to SA, you're going to need a bond potentially. You're going to need a month's rent. You're going to need to furnish it. But it's not 25% deposit. There are creative ways you can do it. Finance, bridging finance, development finance, raising investor finance. Like, I've scaled a portfolio. Fortunately, me and my business partner, I did the sourcing negotiation, and it was a 50-50 joint venture. But I wasn't the one with all the funds, and it is possible. I just think you've got to firmly believe that you can do it.
100%. I mean, that is mindset is. Sorry, I've just had a text. I think that is a guess. So apologies if I'm looking a bit, if I'm not looking at the camera, but I'm just messaging them. They probably haven't got they probably haven't opened the email that tells them how to access the property, which is the biggest one.
I could do a fucking hour on this with you.
Yeah, I'll tune out. See you later, guys. You talk better. Say yes.
Fucking email.
But yeah, no, mindset is huge, and like I say, you basically got to get out your own way. My partner now is very spiritual. She's actually gone completely to the top of the tree, if you like. She's doing Reiki and studying to be a Reiki master and all that sort of stuff now. But at first, I thought mindset is woo woo and all the sort of crazy witchcraft stuff. But ultimately, what it boils down to is the way that the best thing I saw is it was actually my sister who said it to me. I read all the books, but my sister said to me, it's only you that's in control of the way you feel, no one else.
Let's do that.
And that is ultimately it. So it's like, right, well, I can either be happy with the situation, pissed off with the situation, depressed with the situation, or I can just think, you know what, it is what it is. Let's just fucking move on, basically.
Yeah, and there's a saying, I can't remember who said it, and it used to sit up here on the wall right in front of me until about 2 weeks ago, and my wife put my daughter's school photos in the frame. She put my daughter's school photos in the frame, but it was like, so I'm trying to remember it. I probably can't say it verbatim, but it was like, whatever the mind can believe and conceive, you can achieve, or something like that. I can't remember. Do you know what I mean? But it literally is, and I had it on the wall, and it was just like, we was at a Property and Entrepreneur Summit on Saturday, and a lot of that focus was around mindset and like you say, getting out your own way and having that focus. Having the focus.
Milton Keynes, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really good, to be fair. First time I'd seen Rob Moore speak. Daniel Priestley was there. He was on Diary of a CEO podcast, talk about lead gen, and again, it's going to these things and taking one or two nuggets away that you can implement. And for example, the podcast, if someone gets one nugget off of this conversation, or you help one person, then it goes a long way, I think, because you're helping them people along their way and trying to achieve what they're trying to achieve. And now it's really interesting. Like you say, until you immerse yourself in property and you get around it and get stuck in, you do think, this mind shit stuff is bullshit and all the other bits. But until you actually immerse yourself, you speak to someone and say, well, I was like you 6 months ago, now I've got 3 rent-to-rents because I just went out there and took action, and I was productive, not active, like that as well on the weekend.
Yeah, no, you have to. You just have to get out your own way, and it is literally. I mean, I do a lot of stuff on social media now, and I mean, my daughter-in-law sort of runs it for me, but I don't even. I used to look at the videos and it'd be like 5, 6, 7, 8 takes, and now it's like, you know what? No one actually cares.
No.
What I say or do, not so much do, but no one really cares that my hair might be slightly wrong. I'll be fucking, I've got a bit of paint on my head or something like that. It's like, or I've skipped a word or forgot to say something or gone installed it and all that business. And now it's just like, you know what? I don't even want to look at it. I'll just record the video and say, right, there you go, just put it out. I don't want to look at it.
It's being authentic, isn't it?
Yeah,
and that's how they get to know you.
Just throw it out there, yeah. So she
That's
runs
why
a lot.
I do live videos or live stuff, and I just think, it's fucking done now, innit?
Yeah, that's a good thing with lives, because you can't literally. You can cancel it, but yeah, don't really.
Although the one thing I did once, I said PPN Humberside, which is my event, and I think 11 people screenshotted it because I had captions on because it said homicide.
Yes, I messaged you on that as well. So I was just trying to take a screenshot for promo, and it fucked up.
Yeah, and it's good because at least people watched it.
Yeah, exactly.
Trampoline then.
But my
Turn around all over the place.
No, it's I tried taking a screenshot and I fucking
warn us.
hit the wrong button. So I'm not going to do it now. I fucked it up. But no. So yeah, we digress. This is what happens on this podcast. We just start digressing, talking nonsense. But in terms of where you're at now, so sorry, you've come through. Hit the bottom, not the bottom, but you've come back up. You've got your mindset straight. You're in property. You're doing your essays. So what's it looking like for you now, and what's the next few years looking like?
Well, like I say, I think I spoke to you earlier. I've actually taken great pleasure in, because when I started putting myself out there, and obviously with my knowledge and bits and pieces, not me being big-headed, I get involved. I've sponsored a networking event that I talk at regularly every month. And that sort of pushed me out a little bit. I don't like saying the limelight. I'm not I'm not fussed to be famous or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? It took me 6 years to talk on the mic as a bloody DJ. So, you know what I mean? I'm not.
1 2.
Yeah, that was it. I struggled to get a 2 when I started. I couldn't count the 2. But no, I got and that was then it was just like there's a cab outside for Susie. That was it. There was no like.
Yeah,
welcome them to the stage, but it's something you grow into. But
getting out of your comfort zone, isn't it?
Yeah, no, 100%. I lost where I was going with it. Then where was we going with it? What was we talking about?
I just said like obviously where you are now and what's the next couple of years.
Oh, sorry, sorry. So yeah, obviously a lot of people I put myself out on social media, and a lot of people started asking me questions, and I was quite happy helping them. And then it sort of started taking up a bit of my time. And then my missus said to me, you've got a lot of knowledge there. You should start charging for it. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's just not a bad show, actually. Maybe I should, because it was literally one call after the other. And I'd basically be saying the same thing. So I started doing unofficially started doing a Zoom with a load of people and just jumping on and just chatting property like we're doing now, really. But more so coming with questions for sort of essay or sort of deals and bits and pieces. And then that evolved. I kept that running, and ultimately now I've actually lost 5 essays recently, a block of 5 in Camden, which was a lovely unit. But there was,
I'm there on Wednesday, Camden.
You're up there Wednesday?
Yeah, I'm not Camden. Well, yeah, up for you, down for me. But yeah, I'm there on Wednesday. Yeah,
you're not looking at property in Camden, are you? By any chance?
I'm not. No. I'm back in full-time work. I've been for a while, so one of my clients are there, so I've got a meeting.
Oh, yeah, no, I'll say the landlord, lovely lady, yeah, but as a landlord, no, it was crazy. There was too many cooks in the broth. I'm going to do a YouTube video on it, but it was basically there were 6 people trying to manage it, and
Wow.
basically that was 3 on them, 2 sisters and a dad, and then there was me, my business partner, and his wife, and everyone was sort of getting involved, and certain people were rubbing people up the wrong way, and things were said, and it was misconstrued, and it was just crazy. And in the end, we just had to pull the plug on it. 'Cause it was like, this just ain't worth it. She's still got our furniture. Still got 17 grand's worth of our furniture in a minute.
Bloody
Yeah,
hell.
what a nightmare.
We've got to try and get back. But where I was going with that is I lost that and thought, actually, you know what? My missus wants to go off and live in Spain or go around, travel and go to Bali and that. We're both in our 50s and we're literally just 50 now. And we basically want to free ourselves up. And, you said it yourself, Heidi, on the call. You can quite easily get dragged back into the SA world of things and just dealing with little issues that might crop up.
Yeah.
So I'm actually looking more now. I do want to get myself an apart hotel because I've got the systems in place for my SAs now. I've got the team in place that can deal with it. Although, as long as it's not at 8:30 on a Monday night when my VA's asleep. But generally speaking, I don't do much in the world of the SA running at the moment. So if I can tie that up, I do want to end up with a nice apart hotel at some point. Possibly get a few more, maybe try a few high-end HMOs as well.
Yeah.
But then I want to give back, which is, we spoke about this. I want to sort of build a membership site out where I can, help people, coach people, mentor them. I've got a couple of mentees which, basically off the back of them calls, people were asking me for help when I just said, yeah, whatever, agreed a price and said, yeah, I'll help you, get your first couple of deals or whatever. So I've taken great joy in that, and it proves to be a lot more flexible than property, basically. So I'm going to be pushing myself. I'm going to keep what I've got, probably possibly even downscale a little bit on the sort of SA side of things, and try and go more like the rent to SA, and then go to a part hotel, because I know a lot of landlords, and you've got to get on with them, but I don't like dealing with landlords because you're not in control. So I'll either purchase. If I'm going to purchase, I want an apart hotel. I'm not interested in getting other houses. I want something a bit more exciting.
And you control the asset. You have the equity. You have the appreciation. You have the ownership and control, as opposed to just control.
Yeah. And this one, that block of 5. I mean, it's probably stood me and my business partner, and we probably lost about 40 grand on that deal.
Yeah.
So, and we was
It's
only
not all rosy, people. You can lose money. I lost money on the rent to SA before. I might as well just set fire to some cash.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. And I mean, partly that's landlords' communication, not even communication, just landlord not understanding what our responsibilities are as a landlord. But basically, the short version is the property was deteriorated. When we took it on, they promised they were going to do a full refurb, so we took it on the basis that was going to happen. And then it got to a point where basically the bad reviews started coming in because the property was falling apart. We weren't prepared. We'd done a little uplift on it ourselves to get it a little bit nicer. We thought we'd do that for a year. We'll see us for a year. And then when they do it, it's all going to be like, Italian marble, and, it's going to be like proper high-end block of 5 units in Camden. And that never happened. And then we started getting the bad reviews, so we had to start affecting the price. The price had to come down a little bit. And then we'd agreed to pay over the odds per unit on the basis that they were going to be done. And then we was paying basically over market rent for properties that weren't in any way.
That Rondo value, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, paying for properties, paying over the market for what it should be below market rent because they're not market standard. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. And we showed them proof of this, and we just said, we're not, you've got to reduce your rent. And they'd actually put it up, and we was like, no. And that's basically where the argument started. And let's wait for the YouTube video to come out, because I'll do a full deep dive on it and let people know.
That makes like property a lot more complex, because like I branched out into SA management, and then you've got the expectations of, well, you need to fill up my property 100%, then it needs to be this nightly rate, and it's like, fucking hell, do you know what I mean? I'm not a miracle worker. Well, like you said, it's that added extra complexity that you don't want or need in property. And And I've been there where you think the boiler's gone. Like today, I've had a, not a shitty day, I haven't had a shitty day, but I've chalked off about $3,000 in rent arrears off dickheads. And like, I was going to do a video and I just couldn't be asked to do a video on it. I just thought, fucking day. But like you said, people lose money every single day and they just never stay out, and property is hard, isn't it?
And
yeah, I mean, there's one I've got now that I own, and that's it. Basically, the tenant, the guest in there at the moment is evicting her tenant from her property. They're digging their heels in, so now she wants to extend by 3 months. I'm like, well, you know, it's $3,500 a month if you want it. She's like, I've only got a $2,000 budget, and I'm like, oh fuck. But
yeah,
Not my fucking problem. Go
it's
away.
like, it's not my problem, but I want to help her. She's like, oh yeah, I've really liked staying here, and she's only been there 6 weeks, but it's like, you know, you've been so good to me, and I'm like, no, don't pull that fucking string on me.
yeah, playing me heartstrings, isn't it? But
Yeah, I want to help her out, but it's like, no.
It's difficult, and it's interesting because I deal with a lot of tenants, and some of them are quite undesirable, let's say.
Yeah.
And it's like I've said to them, I always let them off and give them a bit of leeway if there's problems or they've lost the job or the benefits of stuff, whatever insert excuse. And Christmas, for example, I need to buy my kids Christmas presents. Whole fucking story.
get a fucking job then.
It's fucking the same every year. And it's like, and I said to him, that's great. I'll let you have a bit of chat and I'm good with leeway. But as soon as they take the piss, I'm like, I'll just evict you then. And they're like, fine. And then they'll send me a few £100. And I'm like, oh, you didn't fucking have that yesterday, did you?
Yeah.
And it's amazing what they're hoarding because they don't want to pay. So I reckon she'd probably have that $3,500.
Yeah,
no,
some of the excuses are mental, isn't it?
Yeah.
I reckon it is. That literally come in this morning. I was like, I've asked my VA to deal with it. She's picking it up, but I just said, look, let me have a think because I've got to knock this. I've got to get the I've got to lay a floor, tile a kitchen, and dress a property by Saturday for guests that are already booked in for a month.
Oh, I don't know why people put that stress on themselves. I love seeing people on Facebook like, oh my God, I've just finished painting and the guests arrived. Fucking stop it.
Yeah, I didn't. I said about me tennis elbow and my foot. I had it planned. I had end of May, so I thought end of May it should be done. Sorry, 15th of May it should be done. By the end of May it should definitely be done. And I thought, right, so I'll open the calendar up for the 15th of June.
Oh, so it's your own fault then.
So yeah, I opened the calendar up. Got one booking which I had to cancel, which was last week, just because I hadn't just delayed. And like I say, everyone's working now. All the people I know are all working. They're like, I can give you a couple of hours. I went, no. So I had to twist my mate's arm and said, look, free a couple of guys up and come and do the bathroom.
If you ever need a plaster, my mate Shitot, he's a plaster. He's from Crayford.
Yeah, no, I will do. Yeah, pass his number on. It's always
and good sparkies. Yeah, good few sparkies and some joiners and that. So I've got a few because I grew up. All my mates I grew up with are all tradespeople, and that when I moved to Hull, that was a frustrating thing because when I moved up here, I was like, I got to start from scratch, builders, networking, all that down home. Like, got a mate who's a chippy, mate who's a fucking sparky, mate who's a plumber, mate who's a plaster. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I can get these in.
Well, that's how I got a lot of my contacts. And basically, when I was labouring, networking, it wasn't networking then, it was just 3 o'clock on a Friday, you're in the pub.
Yeah, free. I used to work till 12 on Friday.
That was networking, yeah. And when the football was on, I think we just went in.
Friday.
Yeah. We go for a pub lunch and think, fuck it, sod work, yeah. We'll stay in there. That's why nothing gets built quickly, because on a Friday comes everyone like, nah, fuck it, we'll go pub.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. Sun's shining, you're like, fuck this.
Yeah, especially when Euros on, isn't it?
Out for a booze, yeah, that was it. You get the free t-shirt out of the building company.
Yeah.
You get your free England top. But yeah, that's yeah, so it's that's where the networking's done. But that's like now, like I say, I haven't necessarily put the pressure on myself, but it's like, oh no, I've got to do it. I don't want to be doing it, but now I'm at the point where it needs to be done, and it's like I can't get the trades in quick enough. If I do, they're going to charge me double.
Yeah.
I'll sod it. You know what? I'll just do it. A bit of social media. I've done a live this morning. Walk around it. Someone like a 5-day refurb or walkthrough.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry.
That's my missus now.
Oh yeah. We welcome all guests on the podcast.
Yeah.
It's better than you going, here's a burglar and not.
She looks after me. She got me a cup of tea. So.
Oh, what a good service.
I don't get any of that.
Yeah. Oh, and biscuits. Yeah, that'll teach you down. Look.
Oh, look at that. Oh, he's got a rich tea. So he's got to have a rich tea and a brew.
fucking love a rich tea. Oh,
Nice rosy and a rich tea.
Yeah. She's saying, why haven't I got the blacked out screen? Can't do it on the other side, can you?
we're not very professional anyway, this podcast, so I
No.
won't worry.
Yeah, like I said, we welcome all guests. But you touched on your mentoring, your coaching, and that. Like, what's that look like? And you mentioned you got a couple of mentees. Just a bit of an overview on what you may be working on specifically for them. Is it a mindset thing? Is it getting the first deal across the line, the analysis? Could you just share a bit of insight into that? Because there might be someone listening thinking, do you know what? I'm fairly local, or they might not be local, but just needing a bit of extra guidance.
Yes, I mean, what I've done, I mean, like I say, I've got, I regularly invest myself with the larger, PPN or progressive anyway. So predominantly progressive, I've invested a lot of money with. And I don't take anything away from them as educators or training companies, but they're so big they can't cater for everyone. And I think there's certain people that will go in there that can't necessarily. They need that extra bit of hand holding, and they just need that little nudge to get over the line. The information that they give is great, but they can't necessarily do that because they're so large. And that's not just progressive. I'm talking about, when the big training companies, Touchstone, Samuel Leeds, Aspire, is it? I can't think of the others.
Yeah, Jamie.
There's people out there, but they can't give that proximity to the actual coach or the mentor at the time. So that's what I'm trying to pick up people who are in a position like that where they're not, I can give them all the information. At the end of the day, I'm getting it from my own knowledge and I'm still actively investing in myself with progressive anyway. Just to be more, for me, it's more like a membership club. You're just mixing with people that are doing the same. Even there's so many strategies out there, you can't do them. You're never going to remember them all yourself, and unless you're doing them actively day in day out, there's always going to be some question you're going to raise in doing a deal like that. So I'm trying to focus more on being like close proximity to mentees or mentees. Sorry, I was going to say coaches then, but I'm going to be more proximity to coaches to the point that I've done it with the mentees I've got already. I'll actually go out on patch with them on a day, depending on what they sign up to, obviously. But I can go out with them, literally hold their hand, walk them into estate agents, walk them into networking events. They can literally stand there, listen to me, how I talk. I can prep them before they go in and sort of, do an almost analysis with them while they're in there and sort of just be there as their sort of, like their bit of guide and their sort of backbone, if you like, so they know they've got someone to fall back on should they, because it's daunting going into estate agents, and when you don't understand the business, it's hard to be able to talk to them in the way that they want to be spoken to as such. And like we said earlier, they're just salespeople. You need to get to either the head honcho, who again is just another salesperson, but ultimately there are some estate agents out there who do know what they're talking about and are property professionals, but there's few and far between of them. So basically, going back to my mentoring and coaching, that's what I'm trying to do now is be more accessible to the coach, to the mentees. And I don't want to build a training company. I just want to coach or help, 20, 30 people a year, maybe, if that, so I keep it close. So I can allocate my time to talking, giving them value, basically, so they get more value, because these training courses, they're a lot of money, and the information, I'd say, it's fantastic, but it's just that proximity. A lot of people sort of fall off the wagon because they give them all the information, but they don't necessarily tell them how to move forward from there. Because I do everything from social media, email marketing, even how to create a Facebook post, how to create, in Canva. I don't know if you've got involved in Canva.
Yeah, use Canva.
How to work in that, how to sort of set up the CRMs, and I'd say I'm building it at the moment. But my thing is I'm trying to come up with a payment plan, because I don't want payment to be a hurdle for people.
Yeah, no, certainly, and I think the accessibility and the biggest thing. So people pay. There are various training companies out there that pay a lot of money to join these, and there's incidences where they say, I paid all this money and I got fuck all out of it. But you get out what you put in. Like, you have to want to go and learn and be active and put into action what you learn. Like, there's so much, you can do so much theory. It's like, driving a car in it. You could do all that theory, do all the theory tests, But unless you get behind the wheel and actually drive and learn to drive, you're never going to pass that test, are you?
No, that's it.
It's doing that within the property space as well, to be like, right, I've learned this. You know, it took me ages before I sourced my first deal, and I was going on all these viewings, speaking to agents, like putting offers in, doing all this, and I was getting nowhere. And I was just like, oh my God, do you know what I mean? And then I signed up for mentorship. I did learn a lot. I met some great people, and the network that I actually met, sometimes just paying for the people you meet is actually worth its weight in gold. And I remember him just saying to me, what our first, like, at the beginning of the year, the full-on coaching, mentoring session, just one-to-one, he just went, what do you want to do? So I want to own loads of buy-to-lets. He said, so why are you trying to source a HMO and a rent-to-rent and this? He said, why don't you just focus on what you want to do and then become the expert in that? Do you know what? 4 weeks later, I sourced the property because I just focused on that one thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably one of the biggest hurdles. People that aren't, you can start 5 businesses but get nowhere in all of them, or you can start one or have one focus and go quite far in that before you start branching out. And I'm no millionaire, no expert, no property coach or anything like that, but it's just about stripping it back and having that one focus. Do you know what I mean? Being able to excel in that one thing.
Well, that's like I say, that's why I'm sort of contemplating, like I say, streamlining or maybe giving back a few of the rents I've got already, just to focus more on the coaching, because it's what's in my head is valuable. It means that I can be a bit more flexible in my lifestyle as well. I've got, like I say, I've got people and teams in place to deal with the SA and the rent to rent stuff, but all the property side of things. But it's with the coaching side, I can. So basically, what I've done is I've started it up now. I just started it slowly with a membership, just £10 a month. Jump on a call with me once a month, 60, 90 minute Zoom, ask me anything, whatever it may be in property, generally focusing around SA at the moment. And then, from there, I'm building out a sort of mentor sort of coaching program off the back of that. But I'd happily just do that if people, it's just trying to get them people that are, like I say, them big training companies, they're great, but you've got to go in and, like you said yourself, you've got to have that right mindset and you've got to be in it and be determined to go through it, where there's people that can do it, but they just need that little bit of extra hand-holding, basically. I mean,
yeah,
I said it's
more of the one-to-one personal relationship as opposed to a big group of mentees. Yeah. It's like some people in school can't excel and they might be overwhelmed. They're in a big group and they're not an extrovert and stuff. And the teacher pulls them aside and says, look, right, let's do it this way. How are you learning? And it's that more one-to-one personal approach as opposed to the scattergun.
Yeah, that's what I say. I mean, the school is a typical example, Don't get me on the schooling system. That's something else. Oh, needs to be.
I'm trying to my child speak up. That's why I had to run off.
That's all right. I've got my granddaughter screaming in the background as well. I've got my granddaughter.
Mine's spewing her guts up. That's why I had to run off. So, sorry.
I've lost what I was saying. Yeah, so the thing is more like the school. I mean, don't get me on the schooling system because that's another scenario.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Generally, they don't have one. It's not just one teacher in the class or the school teaching 1,000 kids, is it? Which is basically what these big training companies are doing. Right? They might have their coaches and mentors down the line, but you're still, you have a class of 20 or 30 people, which is basically the way I'm thinking. I'll just have that, and I'll just coach them for a year,
certainly
6 months or whatever. But I'll be in it with them until they get their investment back, because I don't believe you have to put something on the line. But I will stay with them until they get their first deal, which will clearly give them. I mean, one particular deal will give their investment back straight away. But I'm going to try and come up with some sort of creative payment plan as such.
I definitely think because a lot of people just bang it on credit card. I banged it on a credit card as well. You can get sucked in because people want to go far quickly, and there is a lot of misconceptions. Property is easy, be a millionaire, do SA, make 10 grand or 11.5 grand a month. You can do it, fine, but you've been in property how long? Do you know what I mean? It's not like you just done it overnight. You've been in property since you're 20. You're turning 50 soon. Like it's not an overnight get rich quick scheme. You need to know the ins and outs, the nooks and the crannies, and you learn a lot of the high level stuff. You get hooked in. You go and speak to an agent. Oh yeah, there's rent to rent. Okay, what agreement are you using? Fuck, they didn't tell me that. So you got, you need to learn a lot, and having that personal approach and that guidance certainly will help. But
that's
brilliant.
That's what I want to pick up, and it is that, like I say, that's literally like, I think, how can I serve the masses? And it is literally, that's I say, that £10 a month is just, just you can jump on, ask me a call. I've been running it maybe 5 or 6 months on and off, but generally we generally get sort of between 10 and 15 people on there, so it's quite a close group. But I think if I build that up, and then potentially look at, I might even do sort of 2 Zooms a month just to try and cover everyone.
Yeah, no, it sounds good. And for anyone who's listening who may be interested, I'll be sharing Darren's details anyway, so you can log on to his Linktree or click on his Linktree and go through that, or I could put the individual links on there as well. So, listen, Darren, getting to the point where we're coming to the end. So, listen, we really appreciate you sharing your story with us, the ups and the downs and where you are and what you're doing now. And I think it's important, there's a lot of people in property starting out who are always looking for that bit of guidance, and just being able to give back, I think, is massive, and I just think, like a lot of people say it, they get more enjoyment out of helping one person achieve things than they might do making 50, 20 grand on a profit flip, on a flip and stuff like that. So, yeah, really appreciate you coming on. We always ask a final question. I'll pass it over to you, Heidi, to ask.
Well, yep. So we like to do a little charity shout out at the end. So is there any charities that come to mind for you, or anyone that you'd like to shout out?
I'd like to put a big shout out to my partner, because she's sitting next to me and she brought me a cup of tea. No. But no, she is the backbone in my business and everything I do, basically, even though she doesn't think it half the time. And I want to sleep in the bedroom tonight. No. But no, seriously, put it out to her. As for charity, I'll do a lot of stuff with the Rotary organisation, which is, I don't know, what charity do they...
Rotary Club, they do everything.
No, what charity do they, their main charity?
Cancer.
But yeah, ultimately, I mean, my charity of choice would be the cancer side of things, just because there is an answer out there, and why they're not sharing it with us is something else. But let's see.
Perfect.
Yeah,
lovely. Well, thanks very much for coming on, and nice to meet you, Darren's other half, better half, I should say.
Yeah, she's there. Yeah, she's not fictitious. No. Cheers, guys. All the best.
Humberlievable. Thank you for joining us this week. We hope we added value to your day. Stay tuned and see you next time for another Humberlievable episode. See you next time.